Hello, beautiful souls. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Sadhana if you are new, and this is, I believe, part 3 in a group of videos that I am responding to the lovely Anna Lady Astral Tarot. And I've decided today to incorporate a request from a couple of viewers actually about using a pendulum with my tarot work and how that might be incorporated. A pendulum is such a wonderful tool, and it is one that I have been using for a long time. I find it is a way primarily to confirm my intuition, which is usually quite spot on. And yet sometimes it's just nice to have another tool to support my work. And so I'm going to guide you through a handout that I created for a workshop some years ago. And if you like, I could make this available in the Facebook group or some other places. You could also message me through my website, and I'd be happy to send it to you. So for those of you that have never used a pendulum, I thought I would go through just some basic things, and then I'm going to actually demonstrate how I use it. So as I mentioned, a pendulum is a great way to confirm intuition. It's also a wonderful tool for locating things, as well as making choices. So you might use a pendulum to help you decide between A, B, and C. These could be locations. These could be crystals that you're looking at in a shop. It could be any number of things. And really the principles are the same regardless of how you are using it. I also use it in my healing practice, and that again primarily is for confirmation, especially when I am looking for the root of a particular issue. And again, I often know where that is, but I really like this tool as one to support me. So a few things about a pendulum. One, so this is my favorite pendulum. This is Shiva Lingam. And the thing I like about this particular pendulum is that the chain is not too long. And I suggest, and you can use anything for a pendulum. You could use, I could also use this, I was going to say talisman, but that's not the right word, that I wear all the time. You could use any sort of piece of jewelry. You can use really anything on a string. It does not need to be a crystal. A pendulum is best, you need to attune it to yourself and learn to know its responses that work with your own energy. And I would suggest that whether the chain is metallic or it is a string, a rope of some kind, that it needs to be straight, and it needs to be of a weight that it hangs straight. And if you have a chain and you have your pendulum and you keep it in a little pouch, it's a good idea from time to time to untangle the links. You know how sometimes links get twisted. I think about this length is perfect, about 6 inches, not too much longer. And if you have a long chain, then you will simply hold the pendulum about at this length. And that has to do with with connection. When I never would hold a pendulum from a long distance because it's too distal, it's too far away. What you need to do when you first get one is Well, it's quite a process, actually. So you might find one that you like in a store, and you might see one, you might have received one as a gift. There's different ways one acquires a pendulum. You might make one. And I believe for the most part that you will be able to work with any pendulum, but it's a good idea if you have an opportunity to try a bunch of different ones. When I offer Reiki training, I teach pendulum work as part of that, and I gift a pendulum to each. Well, they pay for it in their package, right? And we spend some time, and I lay a whole bunch of pendulums out on the table, let them choose one, let them try a bunch of different pendulums to see how they respond. Now, some pendulums might act like dead wood and they won't move for you. Others might do some crazy thing that they just start vibrating like this. And my experience is that pretty much any pendulum I pick up will do the same thing, will respond in the same way. I've only had one experience where I picked up a pendulum in a store, and I picked it up and it just kind of went crazy. It just started shaking. Now, there is a problem testing pendulums in a store, is that many people have touched them. So there are a lot of people's energy, including whoever made it, whoever packaged it. All of those people's energy is in on that pendulum. If you are in a metaphysical store, anybody in that kind of a store would have no problem with you smudging a pendulum. That could be with smoke, it could be with sound, any form of smudging, and then you could test in a store. So what I suggest that you do is just learn to hold one. And I recommend firmly placing your elbow on the table, maybe even cupping your elbow with one hand. And then you will observe the pendulum and let it come to stillness. And you can stop it. And then begin to ask it some questions that are, very straightforward. And some questions really can be tricky. I was playing with it just before I came on. And where are you? Let me back up here. And the question, I was adopted at birth. And if I ask the pendulum about my name, I have many names that I have been known by over the years. At birth, I was named Lori by the women who gave birth to me. My adopted parents called me Susan. And then later on, I was gifted the name Sadhana by Swami Satyananda. And not Swami Satyananda, Swami Satsangi. And I'm sure there's other names as well, too. So the question that I asked was, did my birth mother name me Lori at birth? Okay, so I'm just going to demonstrate that for you. And I can put the other camera on. Let's see how this will go. Okay, so you can see the pendulum here. I'm going to bring it to stillness. Hi, Jonathan. And let me switch cameras. I have one other tip, and I don't want to forget it. When you purchase a pendulum, you want to make sure that the pin is in the center of the wood or the center of the crystal. You wouldn't believe the number of pendulums I have seen in shops that are made off center. So the pin, the hole has not been drilled in the center of the crystal. So you want to align everything so this work will support you. And there may be a really pretty one that you want to buy and you look at it and the pin is not in center. So I would suggest not purchasing that pendulum. You want to find one that where the chain is untangled and the pin is in the center of the crystal. Okay. I cleared this. Oh my God, there's a lot of my energy on here. I can see old candle wax on here, all kinds of things, even on the chain itself. All right, so let's go back to that question. Was I named Lori at birth by my birth mother? One of my fingers is kind of in the way. It's doing a kind of an oval rather than a circle. Let me hang it this way. And come back here. There we go. That's better. Okay, let's try again. Was I named Lori at birth by my birth mother? Okay, so hopefully you can see that it was moving in a clockwise direction. And for me, yes answers have always been a clockwise circle. I'm going to ask a few more questions just to demonstrate that. For you, a yes answer may be a counterclockwise circle, a vertical back and forth, a horizontal back and forth. It could come in different ways. And that's why it's really important to practice using your pendulum. And every time I use a pendulum, I always ask some question with an obvious answer just to double check we're still in the same energy. Okay. So, all right. Stop. Do I have 4 living children? Okay, so we're still going in a clockwise circle. And I add that adjective because of miscarriages. Okay, let's ask something else. Okay. Is today the 10th day of October 2024? Okay, so I'm getting the same pattern for all of these questions. Kind of more of an oval than a circle. I'm in a very strange body posture right now. I should really turn my body, put my legs under the chair, and I'll do that in a second. And then you should test some no questions. And so let's just try a few of those. Okay. Is this tarot deck called Pagan Otherworlds? Is this tarot deck created by Barbara Moore? Is this tarot deck called Sasarai Bito? It's really interesting how the pendulum stopped and then just shifted directions. Okay. I want to go to Jonathan's comment here. Every time I get a new pendulum, I have a habit of my first request is for the pendulum to show me yes, no, and maybe. Okay, that would be a more direct way to do it. Yeah. And Jonathan, every time you get a pendulum, does it respond in the same way to your energy? Because for me, it always does, except for one time, and the pendulum went just nuts. So this is something that you want to play with. Okay. All right. Let's go on. So let's suppose I'm going to put 3 tarot decks on the table. And honestly, this is so fun to do this kind of thing. You know how sometimes we're thinking about, well, is this the best deck for a reading today? Or people choose decks for fall or a particular event. Maybe they are choosing a deck for a particular client or for a particular reading. So the question that I'm going to ask here is, acknowledging that this is Libra season, and I've been really focused on the Queen of Swords and the energy, the astrological energy that's going on right now. I want to make sure that I'm using the right deck for the reading. So the question is this the best? No. The bigger question is, which deck will respond most informatively to a reading in Libra season? Okay, now if I say, is this the best deck for Libra season? I kind of think that Spirit knows that I'm asking that more complicated question that I just stated. Yeah. Usually about the same, but occasionally a pendulum has its own way of answering. That's just the way my teacher taught us how to interview our new pendulums. Yeah, I think it's really important. And it's so fascinating. I have, well, working in a retail shop, working as a healer, I've helped lots of students explore their work with pendulums, and it's amazing how they all respond differently with different people. Okay. All right, so let's go over here to Tarot Avatara. Oh, you can't see. Okay, let's see. If I'll try to keep it in a good view. Okay. And I can also turn, well, let's just try it this way, see what happens. So in the highest, being the most informative, is Sasarai Bito the most responsive deck for Libra season? I'm getting a yes. And I'm going to make another comment after, but I'll tuck my fingers in here. This is Tarot of Echoes. In the highest, being the most informative, is Tarot of Echoes, the best reader for a Libra season. This is my I don't know answer. It's a vertical line. There's actually quite a bit of energy over this deck. I don't know. Okay, and I'm going to move this down so okay. Now, how about Avatara? In the highest, for the most informative readings connected to the energy of Libra season, is Tarot Avatara the best choice? Okay, so I'm getting a horizontal line across the deck, which is a no. Now, this is really interesting for me because I have been doing a very deep dive with Tarot Avatara. I've 20-something videos into this series. And this is going to be a Swadhisthana chakra deck for me, sacral chakra deck, deep karmic work. And it feels very Scorpio to me. And if I was to assign it to a astrological sign, like to a zodiacal sign. And this deck, I think, is really energetic and probably could work at any time of year. And for, I think 2018 is when I got Sasrai Bito. I have found this to be a very truthful deck. There's 2 decks in my library that I use for direct answers, and this is one of them. And it's no surprise to me that the pendulum responded in this way. And it's kind of I honestly, I don't know how this works. It's and would I listen if it said no? I think I would. I think that would mean it would be time. It would be time to switch up the deck. So I don't know, it's amazing to me. I find it all so very, very fascinating. Let's put some chakra cards on the table. Okay. What if I were to say, maybe I wanted to pair up these decks with chakras, and I mean, I've never done anything like this. Let's do something different. I was going to say, you know, could I ask about my pairing of sacral chakra and the Tarot Avatara? But I know how it's going to respond. So let's say that I have a client. They've been talking, and I'm listening to their story. I'm listening to what they're asking me. And one of the things that's going on in my mind is what is at the, hi Perry, what is at the root of their issue? What is at the root of this story? Are we talking about family, tribal issues, like old relationships? Are we talking about, and I don't know, those of you that are watching this, like how well you know me, but I am, I am a yogi. I've done deep chakra sadhana in India. I was given my name by an Indian Swami. This is something that I have personally practiced and work with for a long time. So when I work with the chakras and I'm talking about the chakras, this is something that is sort of in my blood, so to speak. And if you have any questions about anything that I say, please reach out and send me a message. I also have this course that I've put up on the screen that I created. And one of my beliefs, like I don't use decks that are sold as chakra decks. I don't think that we can put the Swadhisthana chakra in the suit of cups. It exists in all suits and the major arcana. And one of the things I do in this course is I talk about how we can read the whole tarot and not put it into little boxes, but talk about it more as a mandala. And yeah, I'm Jonathan. I'm talking about people who are watching the replay. Okay, so my question here is, I'm listening to a client, I'm listening to their story, and I'm thinking, okay, this is deep karmic stuff. Maybe this has to do with birth trauma. Maybe even there's some sort of childhood trauma that's coming up here, and I'm thinking, should I choose a Swadhisthana chakra deck? Is the root of their issue at the sacral chakra? And so one of the things I could do is, because sometimes it's really nice for clients to see you do your work, not just, they kind of want to know why you're doing what you're doing. And this, so I could put the pendulum over these cards and go, is the root of this client's trauma in the Muladhara chakra, the root chakra? And, there is no client. I don't know what it is responding to at this time. But I could use cards in this way to support what I'm hearing from the client. I have a couple of oracle decks that have chakra cards. I have extracted those from the decks, and I always have them right beside me at my ready. Okay, so I'm going to do a reading for today. Today is the 10th day of October, 2024, and we are just past actually it is the quarter moon today. The moon is in Capricorn. Wow, we've got lots of energy here in my moon journal. So the moon is waxing. As we move toward the full moon in Aries, let this be a message to support our steps and our actions and preparation for this major full moon. Also, I'm noting that today is a 10-10 day, and there's always something in these double-digit numbers. So this could be quite a juicy little 3-card reading here. As always, I ask this message be in the highest for the greatest good, and that no harm be done. So be it. Okay, I'm going to do a simple cut. Okay, so the primary message is that change is afoot. Change is afoot. Karina, namaste, welcome. Oh, no, it's Margaret. Welcome, Margaret. Change is in the air. And it is... I really like this card. Astrologically speaking, this is the card that is connected to the winter solstice in the Northern Hemisphere. And with all of the solstice energy that has been going on, not solstice energy, all of the eclipse energy that's been going on, and these planetary shifts that are happening with the outer planets, I have sensed a lot of unrest and challenge with so many people, not just clients, but people in general that are, there's some agitation, and I think there's impatience with the unknown. So when I see this card in the hands, and I'm feeling a gentleness here, like hands connected to heart. Let's be really mindful of these shifts. Yeah, let's be mindful of these shifts. Let's be gentle with these shifts. Let's be patient with these shifts. It's almost like these are healing hands over this changing energy. Also, I think this is a very poignant card coming up in Libra season. All twos connected to relationship. So maybe what Spirit is pointing us towards is a shifting energy in our practical world, in the day-to-day life. I really feel, with all the information I've been receiving, is that as we move towards the close of 2024, things are going to look very, very different for all of us. These shifts feel very significant. Like we're not just spiritually, but we're going to be seeing big energetic changes. And always within is reflected without. So this could also be politically as well, too. Of course it will be. Okay, so I sense that as we prepare for this Aries full moon, I might be asking myself, what changes can I make here in my space, in my reading space, in my home, to help me adapt, prepare for these changes, these upcoming changes. I think this is a super powerful card here. So interesting. I've been having that vision a lot lately. I close my eyes and see two hands, outstretched, palms up. And, you know, also this gesture is one of receiving. It's about being open to change, receiving change. It's not, we're not being at closed off at all. Yeah. Okay, so let's see what the other two cards are, and then I'll show you how I might incorporate a pendulum into a reading. Okay, so here, in this King of Cups card, there is a pitcher and a cup. And I'm getting that same sort of, this feels like very much like a Marseille type reading, where these two objects become these two objects, and then they double over here. 2, 2, 4. There's something that becomes kind of overwhelming. King of Cups is a very tricky card to, hi Donna, welcome. It's a very tricky card to read. And I feel, I mean, looking at this particular King of Cups, they are so wise, and I feel that they are quiet, and they're that kind of energy that, when people smile and they just kind of know everything and they hold space. I don't know, I feel like this is about simplicity and gentleness, and this message has been coming so loud and clear, almost like I want to read this pictorially and say, go have a cup of tea, with your grandma, go have a cup of tea with a friend. It's almost like that King of Cups is inviting you to have a cup of tea. Maybe this is about having a cup of tea and slowing down and just being. Let's slow down, have a cup of tea, and just be as we prepare for this change. What I was going to say about the King of Cups being a difficult card to read is that the kings have fully experienced the energy of the suit. So they have been through every kind of emotion, up and down, all kinds of watery experiences. And often in the King of Cups, we see an energy that is closed off to, and they separate themselves from the water, because it's really hard to lead and to be in charge and in control when we're in the water. It's like they create this space, this distance, this boundary, so that they can do the work, the leadership of whatever is needed here. So let's go to Jonathan's cards. Ooh, not cards, tea. That sounds amazing. Okay, Margaret used Tarot of the Abyss. King of Swords is in the middle. Knight of Swords is on the left, and 2 on the right. All right, so that is, you don't have the Queen, who's generally associated with Libra season, but you have a mobile and a solid air energy. You have a reflection of yourself that is fully aware of it's a very excessive reading, isn't it? Air. So I want to ask you this. What if you were to put the 2 of Swords between those 2 court cards? How does the Knight of Swords respond to the 2 of Swords? How does the King of Swords respond to the 2 swords? What are those 2 swords reflecting? I'm sensing this is an approach, different approaches to a decision. And it would be important so this is part of your preparation, right? It's looking at different approaches to these 2 thoughts, these 2 words, these 2 voices that you have. Thank you I appreciate that, Jonathan. Okay, so let's go back to the cards on the table, because again, this is about pendulum work as well too. And then, so we have like I'm seeing these two here. Now also the kings I would associate with the number 4, but I was very focused on the two receptacles here and 2 coins. And then we have 4 cups. And of course, this person's head, the braid is wrapped. I think this is such an interesting card, the way the braid is wrapped around the neck. We have a little bit of lightness here, and then they are facing towards the darkness. Choosing, it's that kind of energy where it's, I've had enough. I can't handle one more sob story, one more emotion. I'm done. So when I put this all together, I'm feeling like if you are feeling overwhelmed, the message here is to be gentle with yourself. Know that as a king, you are perfect. You are perfectly capable of navigating this. Yes, change is afoot. And yes, Spirit honors this sense of overwhelm, but you are able to do this. And how are you able to do this? By being gentle with yourself. And that may mean having a cup of tea. That might mean by the gift of, whatever it is that feels good for you this evening. For some reason, I'm thinking about writing an intention, a prayer, a poem even, about how I'm feeling about change at this time. Now, there's a few things I might do with a pendulum here, because for me to look at this king and say, wow, this is about these 2 vessels more so than the king energy. But again, this is me trusting in what needs to come through in a reading. So how might I use a pendulum here? One of the first things I said to you was that this 2 of Pentacles card, I always think about winter solstice. And so my thought here is this reading pointing toward that time as being significant? I'm thinking significant as an integration point. That what we are moving through and what we are processing comes to a place of integration around the 21st of December, 22nd of December. Or is this more about what I was saying earlier and being gentle and open-hearted? Acceptance of change. Okay, so that's 2 different questions. So you can only ask one question at a time with a pendulum. So here's my question. Does this have anything to do with winter solstice, Northern Hemisphere winter solstice? Does this reading have anything to do with winter solstice? No. The significance of this 2 of Pentacles, is it more about being gentle with ourselves through this abundance of change that we are all experiencing in the universe at this time? Clockwise circle. So, sorry, I wasn't looking at my camera. My hand was probably completely in the way. So yes, this is about being gentle, open-hearted, and through this big time of change. It's really fun to have a pendulum on your table to use as a friend. And as a beginner reader, it's a great thing to have because it can help you build confidence in your readings. Now, how much time? Where are we at here? I want to do a couple more things. Ooh, okay. Okay, so my next demo has to do with shall we just do I was going to do something with cards, north, south, east, and west, locations and directions. And I occasionally do a reading like that. Let me shuffle the cards and show you what I mean. Okay, so I am contemplating moving west-ish. You would think in Vancouver you can't go further west in British Columbia, but you can, to Vancouver Island. So my question here is primarily, what is the energy of west as opposed to staying put? And I'm going to place 4 cards on the table for north, south, east, west, and I'll just orient you to what they are. And you might wonder why I put the South card on the table first. It has to do with my shamanic training and the way that I work with directions. I always start in the South. South, west, north, east. So if I look at the cards this way, relative to where I am now, this would be Vancouver Island. Okay, so where I am now, what is, the energy of where I am now? Queen of Swords. And, oh, that's really interesting. 10 of Wands. And why I say is that that's interesting is because there I have some pressure from my children to move, to be closer to them, and I think that I have been resisting that because I love my independence. I love my nest. I love my privacy and all these things. So that's very interesting. I feel like there's almost a sense of where I am right now, there's this freedom, this sense of independence. When I look at this Queen of Swords, I feel the space in her heart, the wildness in her hair. And maybe this is me, like I love being around my children, a few times a year. So it's a really interesting message. I have not even contemplated moving south. Like I don't even know what that would mean. So these are not really relevant to the conversation. So I'm just gonna, they're not really part of the story. But you might be able to think of applications for a reading like this. And I have used this kind of north, south, east, west when people are asking about moving or traveling, things like that. So now all I want to do is pick up the pendulum and say, is this card an accurate portrayal of how I would feel moving to Vancouver Island? And really, it's really bad news if it is. Okay. Wow. That's just wow, wow, wow. Okay. So these are just a few ways that I work with a pendulum. And I put one of my older videos, I linked it. It's in the description box below. And Donna is reiterating, I agree. I always keep a pendulum handy on my reading table. It can, I don't know, I think it's an invaluable tool. And there are, of course, other ways that you can work with a pendulum. And it's a great little tool for locating lost items. And I was going to demonstrate that, but I'm going to broadcast again in 15 minutes, so I don't have time today. But one thing I might do is draw a map of my house on a piece of paper. And it doesn't have to be to scale. I can put, my bedroom and my kids' bedroom, and 2 of them are living here with me now. The garden, the garage, main features of the house. And I might start by asking, is it in the house? And then if I got a yes question, then I would draw my little map. And I could narrow it down room by room in an attempt to locate it. I have done this work with as initial inquiry to help find a missing person. And I firmly believe that if you trust in your own energy, if you trust in your own practices, you can use any number of tools in your practice to help support your work. And I'm thinking about, it was a day where the first thing I needed to determine was whether this person was still in town, or had they hopped on a bus and left the area. And a pendulum is a great little tool to help with that. Now, I can go into a meditative state and ask these questions and sort of get a clear picture. And yet at the same time, sometimes I need confirmation. So it's a really great little tool. Yeah. Okay, my friends. So show me how you practice. That was the purpose of the video today. And if there are any other practices you've seen me doing that you would like more demonstration on, please ask. I feel like that's all I do on my channel, is demonstrate how I work. So if you're resonating with this and you haven't already subscribed, please do so. Your support is greatly, greatly appreciated. And I will be back shortly with some 9 of Swords cards. Take good care of yourselves, and thank you all for contributing to the chat today. Namaste.